Uh, Thank you. This is the eighth National Health, the eighth National Health Excellence Award, which ANODAC and GPHR, Global Projects Resources, founded 9 years ago. We missed one because of COVID. And so this is going to be the first one in person. And because of the theme on innovation, we decided to have a webinar that will precede the actual event, which is happening on June 24th on Friday at Eco Hotel in Victoria Island. So please look on the website for more information on that. And I believe as Dr. Labi is not here, we will continue, and I'm sure he will talk towards the end. And I'm really delighted to be able to welcome a friend and colleague, Miss Vamchi Lingampali, who has a global experience as a technology executive, working both on leadership and entrepreneurial roles. We're actually working on some other entrepreneurial events in a different country. And she has had experience in IoT, fintech, health and education tech. And Vamchi is currently working on the finance side as the venture partner at Cornish Growth Advisors, where she leads the health tech practice and is also herself a co-founder of an early stage company. She has experiences in several countries, both in the developing and developed world, and has been previously had experience both as a banker with Goldman Sachs and in industry with McKesson Corporation. So I'm really excited that we have Vamchi, who will be our guest speaker today. Vamchi, over to you.
You'll need to unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Unmute. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Now we can.
Perfect. Thank you, Igbit. Thank you so much for the welcome, and thanks for having me here. I wanted to take this opportunity to delve a little bit more into what we call into the broader ecosystem, health tech ecosystem. The reason I wanted to do that is when we think about health tech today, mostly we can think about telemedicine. And that's nothing wrong, because of the past few years, telemedicine comes to our mind. So I wanted to take some time to delve deeper into this space, and also highlight opportunities and trends as in how I talk through this. So when we look at the clinical care segment, we have digital therapeutics. These are the therapeutics treatments through digital and tech-enabled products. Telemedicine, we know, it's disrupting the distribution and access to healthcare services using mobile and telecommunication technologies. The third subsegment here, which I wanted to stress on, is the specialty care providers as well. These are the providers that are using technology solutions to provide continuous and ongoing care, both in person and virtually. So the highlight one thing I want to highlight in this segment is digital therapeutics, because they are in the nascent stage, but also the innovation is helping them to have the potential to close the gap with traditional therapeutics using data-driven medicine and data-driven treatments, which are scalable, easy to manage and monitor, but at the same time adjustable in real time, which is pushing the envelope for patient-centric care, which is also a big theme in the broader healthcare ecosystem, not just health tech. So the second segment is digital health. You know, we all know digital health a lot now, because it seems to encompass everything. But digital health is pretty much the companies that create apps and products to help consumers monitor and improve their personal health. They differ from the digital therapeutics in a way that they can help prevent illness, and they are not approved by regulatory organizations, authorities such as FDA to treat illnesses, whereas digital therapeutics are authorized to treat illnesses. And digital health As such, the market will be robust going forward through and post COVID. There are a multitude of reasons, and I would lay out 3 of them. One is more and more studies indicate that digital health apps can result in similar outcomes where traditional care is unavailable today. 2, we see that our attitudes have changed over COVID times, mainly with regards to mental health. We are more open to talk about it, but also we are more open to embrace the solutions to help ourselves. And the third one is higher adoption of personalized health tools, where more consumers are actively participating in monitoring and managing their own health concerns, such as be it insomnia or nutrition. And finally, there's also a bit of a trend that we need to recognize from healthcare providers. They're more actively, at least in the developed world, are actively recommending digital health apps to their patients for better management of chronic health conditions such as type 2 diabetes, or be it weight management, or even apps that are specialized to diagnose and treat sleep disorders. So there's much going on in this space, and the innovation is really in providing a much cohesive solutions to consumers. The next one is biometrics. Biometrics is interesting because the technology has evolved quite a bit in the past 10 years, in the past decade, and it has evolved to measure sophisticated indicators such as fertility, blood sugars, etc. So we have now the ability using cloud computing to collect and monitor multitude of data from biometric, physiological, and physical activity information. And what's driving this segment is again threefold: increasing and growing global older adult population in the world. Second is increasing epidemic of chronic health conditions. Third is, interestingly, a bigger focus on women's health. And these 3 combined together, and with the technology innovations, although it's in the nascent stage, there has been an expanded adoption and use of remote patient monitoring tools and wearables in the past few years. And we see the trend continuing, also because tech-enabled solutions will be very critical in providing better outcomes for our older adults. So that keep an eye on that segment. Finally, personalized medicine and testing is an interesting segment because it is a very high-risk segment for the VCs, but there's a continuity of investments going on in this space. Reason being, this is an approach where doctors can select particular treatments that are most likely to help their patients based on genetic understanding of the diseases. So whereas the genomic testing collects and analyzes DNA samples, bioinformatics is about analyzing biological information. And all this is to devise new diagnostics, medication, and treatment protocols. As and how the broader healthcare ecosystem, not just health tech, healthcare ecosystem is pushing and moving towards personalized and precision medicine, this particular, the companies that are devising personalized medicine, which is really all around personalized recommendations or treatments based on genomics, microbiomics, and other biomarkers, will see a huge growth. Again, it's a high risk because all these initiatives takes time, and we will continue to see huge activity post-COVID, especially because now we are moving more into specialized treatments. Sorry, can you see my next slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So now looking at the broader segments of the healthcare, I wanted to touch on what's going on in the industry through COVID and what will continue post-COVID as well. So if you look at the data from PitchBook, from 2020 to 21, we see almost the cumulative deal value, this is globally, more than doubled from 2020 to 21. This is an indicator of the maturity of the industry as well. And we see that in 2021, clinical care segment had the highest deal activity, followed by digital health startups, and then the personalized medicine. And as I've mentioned earlier, these segments will continue to grow, especially digital health took off, right, as we all know, during COVID times. But it'll continue to grow because of the increased openness of employers to provide wellness benefits. And as I mentioned, there's less stigma to mental health and more openness for people and insurance companies to offer services, products to help people. And the clinical care segment, which I mentioned, is very interesting because it will also continue to grow. Multitude of reasons I mentioned, but three of the key ones, again, I wanted to specify here, is increased telemedicine deployment adoption across the world globally, not just in few countries, but mainly there's growing government initiatives to approve digital therapeutics as well. But other key driver here, as we all say, it's patient-centric. Like, it's driven by consumers. Consumers want more patient-centric approach to care, as well as easy access. And they want, the focus is also shifted to more prevention care. So I think all these put together, we will see the three key segments where I mentioned the clinical care, digital health, and personalized medicine will continue the growth and deal activity post-COVID as well. So what do we think about the challenges going forward? I feel that the challenges are going to remain similar to pre-COVID going forward, but the couple of things that we as entrepreneurs need to be very careful is the capital efficiencies. When we think about growing quickly and faster is good, but at the same time, growing sustainably is going to be more important. So we need to think about capital efficient operational structures, but also how we deploy capital to create something that is very focused and customer centric. The second thing I want to focus on, because I also come from a data background, is I know we have the propensity as startups and entrepreneurs to gather and collect as much data as possible. That's good in a way, but big data is going lean. So you need to be very focused on what type of data we collect and how we can be smart in deriving the intelligence from that data. It also helps you to address the high infrastructure costs. I know when we think about cloud, we think everything is going to be cheap, but still, when you collect tremendous amount of data, it is going to increase our infrastructure costs. And when you apply machine learning and various other latest innovations and technologies to really create value to the end users, it will add up. So be very careful about how we collect, what we collect, and how we use the data, and take the lean data principles going forward. And don't forget about the large companies, including healthcare companies, the incumbent healthcare, as well as tech companies who have the wherewithal and the brand, the capabilities, the cash to create Me Too products. It's going to be very simple, easy for them to do it. So you need to identify the niche, but at the same time, collaborate and have strategic partnerships to deploy your solutions in a sustainable way and in a profitable way. The reason I say that is health tech companies, very few of them exist standalone. To be able to create the best value to the end consumer, we need to collaborate and we need to have the strategic partnerships. And the failure rate of health tech companies is very high. Reason being is that a standalone company can be useful to consumers only for a certain extent, at the expense of losing a little bit of equity, and also maybe sharing a small part of the revenues. We should be thinking about collaborations and not just pure competition all the time in this space. The regulatory barriers are continuously changing, so you have to keep an eye on them. And finally, what